Ever feel like you're doing everything right, but still falling behind? Why do some people walk into rooms like they already own their future, while you're still waiting to feel ready? What if the real gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't effort, but identity? Some people seem to attract success like magnets. It's not luck, it's not timing. They've mastered a powerful psychological strategy, acting as if they've already arrived, while others are grinding, hesitating, overthinking. These people move forward boldly, as though their dreams are already reality. Meanwhile, you wait, you work, you doubt. And the life you crave keeps slipping further away. You wanting so deeply to watch others rise while you feel stuck. You question your worth when you realize that hard work alone doesn't always lead to breakthrough. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Success doesn't come to those who wait to feel ready. It comes to those who decide they already are. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you believe you're worthy of, long before there's any proof. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on a hidden force that's been shaping your reality all along. Identity. Not the surface level version, but the deep subconscious beliefs you carry about who you are and what's possible. If you're ready to stop chasing success like it's outside of you and start living like it's already within you, stay with me, because what you're about to hear could shift your entire trajectory. Why do we fall short of our own dreams so often? Why do we cling to the familiar, even when it keeps us small? It's a dilemma that has puzzled philosophers for centuries. But what if the key isn't in doing more, but in being more? Not more effort, but a more elevated identity. This isn't self-help fluff. It's ancient wisdom, echoed by Stoic philosophy and rooted in timeless psychological principles. The Stoics taught us that our perception creates our experience, and, from that lens, identity becomes the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. Let's explore this concept. Positive pretending, not as a performance, but as a powerful practice. It means stepping into the mindset, posture, and energy of your future self today, the version of you that's already successful, confident, and fulfilled. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." By conscious act, as if your goals are already within reach, you start reshaping those unconscious beliefs that hold you back. Aristotle taught that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. When you begin embodying the daily habits of your successful self, you stop pretending in the shallow sense. You start training your mind to see this version of you as real. Your thoughts, your choices, your identity, everything begins to shift. Plato emphasized the importance of self-discipline and self-awareness in shaping destiny. And in this practice of positive pretending, that discipline is vital. It means showing up as your future self even when external evidence hasn't arrived yet. Especially then, according to nature's philosophy, growth is struggle. Becoming who you truly are isn't effortless. It requires a battle with your old stories, the narratives of not enough, of someday. Through this lens, every moment becomes an opportunity to affirm, I am capable. I am becoming. You're no longer waiting for validation. You're generating it from the inside out. And this shift is massive. Because when you operate from your future identity, it doesn't just change how you feel, it changes how you show up. In conversations, in your work, in your presence. Everything starts aligning with that new standard. As Socrates might say, know thyself. And through this practice, you're beginning to know and embody a more powerful version of who you are. This is not deception. This is transformation. You're not faking it. You're aligning your actions with your deeper potential, and in doing so, you stop chasing success and start becoming it. Every choice, every interaction becomes a vote for your new identity. You reinforce the future by living it now, because the truth is, most people are waiting. Waiting for a sign, for the perfect moment, for permission. But what if the sign you've been waiting for is you? Change doesn't begin when others believe in you. It begins when you choose to believe in yourself before anyone else can see it. Marcus Aurelius said it best. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Think small, live small, but think, walk, and speak like the person you want to become. Your very soul will begin to transform. Say you want to be the best in your field, not just competent, but deeply respected and influential. How would that version of you enter the room? How would they speak in meetings? Would they shrink back and second guess? Or would they command the space with quiet confidence? You wouldn't need anyone to hand you a crown. You'd wear it already invisibly, but unmistakably. In the last section, we explored how stepping into your future self begins with identity. Now, let's talk about the inner engine that brings that identity to life: visualization. But not the kind of vague daydreaming we often fall into. This is some sharper, more intentional strategic mental rehearsal. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart." Visualization isn't about fantasy. It's about clarity. It's about training your subconscious over and over until your nervous system starts to respond as if your success is already reality. Think about it. Before an athlete wins gold, before an artist paints a masterpiece, before a leader inspires millions, it happens in one place first: the mind. Plato taught that the beginning is the most important part of the work. And that beginning? It's always internal. Champions don't wait for the world to validate them. They see it. They feel it. They become it long before anyone else sees it too. This isn't about pretending. That word cheapens the process. Nietzsche wrote, "Become who you are." So when you act as if you're already successful, you're not faking it. You're uncovering the version of you that's been buried under years of doubt, procrastination, and old habits. You're peeling back the noise and stepping fully into your strength. Every single morning, you have two choices: slip quietly into the comfort of your past, or step boldly into the future you want to live in. Walk like the version of you who's already there. Talk like them. Think like them. Sharpen your vision so clearly, so vividly, that your brain starts storing it like a memory. Next time you walk into your office, any space don't, just walk in like it's an ordinary day. Walk in as the leader, as the innovator, as the one who makes the room feel different just by being in it. When you speak, Let your voice carry weight, not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you believe in the value of what you have to say. Socrates said, "The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new." And that is the very heart of visualization. It's not about beating yourself up for who you're not yet. It's about stepping fully into who you're capable of becoming. And here's the powerful part: your subconscious doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined reality and a lived one. It responds to emotion, repetition, and belief. So when you dress sharper, speak with more purpose, or carry yourself with more confidence, your brain wires itself to match those behaviors. It's not an act, it's a rewiring, a full-body recalibration of identity. No one is going to hand you permission. No ideal moment will come along that feels perfect enough. The only permission that matters? The one you give yourself today. Visualization isn't just for the dreamers, it's for the doers. The ones bold enough to imagine something more and then walk toward it step by step, breath by breath. See it, speak it, walk it, and let your life catch up to the vision you've already built in your mind. Because the world mirrors back how you see yourself far more often than you realize. In the last section, we explored how visualization can rewire your identity. But once you see the vision, how do you speak it into existence? That's where the next layer begins. Language, daily dialogue you have with yourself and the world. Nietzsche once said, "All great things must first wear terrifying and monstrous masks in order to inscribe themselves on the hearts of humanity." And that's exactly how new affirmations feel at first: uncomfortable, unnatural, even fake. Saying, "I'm mastering this," while you're still stumbling, it feels like a lie. But that discomfort, that's not a sign to stop. It's the threshold, the line between who you've been and who you're becoming. You're not reciting fluff, you're challenging the mask. You're choosing a new story before the evidence shows up, and that takes courage. Socrates, with his relentless questioning, would likely ask you this today. Why do you speak weakness into existence when strength is already within your grasp? It's a question worth sitting with, because every sentence, whether spoken out loud or repeated silently in your head, is a tiny vote cast for the version of yourself you're creating. So starting today, be ruthless with your language. Audit your self-talk the way you'd audit your finances. Refine it, sharpen it. Replace "I can't" with "I'm learning." Replace "this is too hard" with "this is building me." Swap "I'm failing" for "I'm getting closer." This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about choosing the frame that strengthens you, not the one that keeps you stuck. Because your vocabulary, it's the blueprint your brain follows. Craft it with the care you'd use to build a bridge strong enough to carry your future self across the canyon of self-doubt. Strong words, steady steps. You are always one sentence away from a different path. So choose the one that moves you forward. It's easy to point the finger at circumstance, timing, luck, other people. But one of the most underrated forces shaping your progress is your environment, the world you allow yourself to exist in each and every day. Here's the harsh truth. If your surroundings are cluttered, chaotic, or filled with negativity, you're not just battling external challenges. You're fighting the space around you every time you try to rise. The Stoics taught that we may not control external events, but we can control how we engage with them, including the spaces we choose to live and work in. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." But what we often forget is this: our thoughts are first colored by our environment. Walk into a room that's disorganized and draining, and your mind mirrors that energy. Walk into a space that's sharp, clean, and purposeful, and suddenly you breathe deeper. You think clearer. You stand taller. It's not magic, it's architecture for your mind. So take an honest look around, right now. Does your environment reflect the leader you're becoming? Does it reflect the quiet ambition you carry inside? Or does it subtly reinforce doubt, procrastination, playing small? If you're serious about becoming a creator of value, an innovator, a builder, then your environment must become the first proof of that identity. Aristotle believed that excellence is not an act, but a habit. And habits don't thrive in just any soil, they grow in environments that support them. This isn't about luxury, it's about intentionality. Curating your workspace like a professional isn't vanity, it's alignment. It's a signal to your brain that says, "This is who I am. This is what I expect. This is what I'm building." Plato once said, "The beginning is the most important part of the work." And your environment? It is the beginning. Every object, every sound, every corner of your space sends signals, conscious or note, about what kind of person lives there. Carl Jung warned us, people don't have ideas. Ideas have people. Your environment is an idea, a living, breathing one. It speaks to you every day, whispering who you are and what's possible. If your surroundings are messy, chaotic, and reactive, they'll trap you in the identity you're trying to outgrow. But a space that's intentional, focused, and forward-looking, it plants new beliefs, new habits, a new future. Nietzsche took it further. He insisted that you must become who you are. But becoming doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens in the conversations you have, the choices you make, and, yes, the room you wake up in every day. Socrates said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." So, examine your space. Does it speak of discipline, purpose, vision? Or does it tell the story of delay and distraction? When you clear physical clutter, you create mental clarity. Space for sharper decisions, deeper focus, and higher standards. Start small. Clear off your desk. Add one symbol of the life you're building, a book, a meaningful object. Curate your surroundings the way a Stoic curates his thoughts, by removing the unnecessary and sharpening the essential. Your environment either anchors you to your past or propels you into your future. Choose wisely, because whether you see it or not, every second of every day, you are being shaped by what surrounds you. So build a world that nudges you, inspires you, and dares you to grow into everything you were meant to become. Previously, we explored how your environment can shape who you become. But even the most inspiring space, the most powerful words, the clearest visualization, none of it matters without this: action. You can visualize success all day long. You can dream, plan, journal, rehearse. But if you don't move, if you don't do, then it's just another fantasy gathering dust in the corners of your mind. Real transformation doesn't happen when your mood shifts. It happens when your behavior changes, when your actions evolve, when your feet move in the direction of your vision. Want to be a writer? Watching motivational videos won't get your book written. What matters is whether you wrote a paragraph today, not tomorrow, not when you feel inspired, today. Carl Jung once said, "You are what you do not, what you say you'll do." Your subconscious mind isn't impressed by good intentions. It builds self-respect based on evidence, daily proof that you follow through on what you say matters to you. Every time you take decisive action towards your future self, you're stacking bricks into the foundation of the life you want. Every time you delay, make excuses, or overthink, you quietly pull those bricks down. Plato knew the beauty of ideals, of thought, of vision, but he also knew they were incomplete without execution. Ideas don't shape your soul. Action does. It's in the friction of effort, the imperfect steps, the trial and error that we refine who we really are. The future doesn't belong to those who dream the hardest. It belongs to those who act even when the path is unclear, even when no one is clapping yet. You don't need permission. You don't need perfection. You just need to begin. Want to start a business? Don't wait for the $1 million idea. Start researching. Build a messy first draft of your plan. Reach out to someone who's already walked that road. You don't need all the answers. You just need to decide that your old life is no longer enough. Nietzsche spoke of the will to power, that force within us that urges us to overcome, to grow beyond yesterday's version of ourselves. And action, decisive, imperfect action, is how that inner will becomes real. Yes, it's messy. Yes, it's uncomfortable. But without motion, you're just a ghost, haunting the potential of a life you never claimed. But don't confuse bold action with recklessness. Aristotle reminded us that true virtue lies between excess and deficiency. What we want is courage, not carelessness. Decisiveness, not desperation. Every step should be rooted in your larger vision, even if it's just one small, imperfect move. Socrates once posed a timeless question. How much better is it to get wisdom than gold? But here's the thing, wisdom that isn't applied is like gold locked in a chest. You can know every quote, read every book, believe every truth, but if you're not willing to move when it's hard, that wisdom is wasted. So the real question isn't, are you dreaming big enough? It's, are you acting bold enough? You shape your future in the quiet, invisible moments when no one is watching, when there's no applause, when it would be so easy to say, just one more day. That's when it counts, because every bold move you make, every small, steady step forward is a signal to the future. It carves the path ahead and announces to the universe, I'm serious. And as the Stoics would remind us, the universe responds to those who meet it not with hesitation, but with relentless will. But here's the cruel twist. Life often gives us a burst of motivation, a moment of clarity, a fire, and then, just as quickly, it fades. We dream big for a few days, maybe a week. We move with purpose, and then, like a tide pulling us back, we slip into old patterns again. Why? Not because we're broken, not because we lack discipline, but because real change isn't built in big, flashy moments. It's built through tiny, almost boring acts of consistency done day after day, especially when no one's watching. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca said, "Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power." And you only earn that kind of power through daily discipline. Not through hype, not through temporary motivation. When you start acting like the person you want to become, it feels electric. You speak differently. You move with more confidence. You start being bigger. But if you only do it when it's easy or exciting, nothing truly changes. Your nervous system, your habits, your self-image, they don't shift from moments. They shift from patterns. Carl Jung said it best. You are what you do, not what you say you'll do. Your subconscious doesn't trust promises. It trusts patterns, and consistency, that's the glue. It's what binds everything together: the mindset, the vision, the environment, the words, the actions. Without it, they're just sparks. But with it, they become your identity. Aristotle taught, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. Every morning, the world asks you a silent question. Who are you today? And every action you take is your answer. You don't need grand gestures. You just need to wake up and ask, what would the future version of me do today? Then do that, even if it's uncomfortable, especially if it's uncomfortable. Plato believed that the discipline of habit was one of the highest forms of self-mastery. That real power comes from aligning your daily behaviors with your highest ideals, not once in a while, but over and over again. And when you build the muscle of consistency, you stop needing motivation. You just move. You stop negotiating with yourself every morning. You just act. In the last section, we explored how consistent action, not fleeting motivation, is what forges identity. But what gives you the strength to stay consistent, especially on the hard days? The answer lies in your why, the future self you've chosen to become. Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow." And that couldn't be more true when it comes to self-discipline. Your why, the vision of who you are becoming, is the internal fire that fuels you to keep showing up. Even when you're tired, even when you're discouraged, even when doubt whispers that it's not working. Because consistency isn't about perfection. It's about refusing to abandon your future for the short-lived comfort of today. Picture a stonecutter hammering away at a rock. Strike after strike, nothing seems to change. No cracks, no progress. But then, on the 101st blow, the rock finally splits. Was it that one final hit that made the difference? Number. It was the accumulation of all the strikes before it, relentless pressure, quietly building beneath the surface. That's what real consistency looks like. Socrates would have asked, "Are you willing to do the small, unseen work that greatness demands?" Because that's the real test, not the big, flashy wins, but the invisible choices, the moments when no one's watching, when no one's clapping, when you decide to show up anyway, writing the page, getting to the gym, organizing your space, speaking with intention, choosing your thoughts with care. These small, often thankless actions, they stack like layers of armor around your new identity. And over time, something extraordinary happens. It's no longer about effort. It becomes who you are. The world doesn't reward the most talented. It rewards the most persistent. The ones who keep going. The ones who align their actions, day after day, with the future they want to live in. Even when it's easier to slip back into old patterns, let's be honest, consistency isn't glamorous. It's not always fun. It's not always loud. But it works. It's the quiet bridge between your potential and your proof. So tomorrow morning, before the noise of the world rushes in, pause. Ask yourself one powerful question. What would the future me do today? And then, honor that answer. Even if it's inconvenient, even if it's hard, even if no one sees it but you. Because if you win enough of those tiny inner battles, you'll wake up one day and realize you're no longer pretending, you're no longer chasing. You've become the person you were always meant to be. Every small step, every decision to act in alignment with your higher self is a quiet revolution. It's the invisible, disciplined work that builds an unstoppable life. Remember, you're not waiting for transformation to arrive. You're living it with every single choice. So stay relentless, stay intentional, and trust that the path you're carving step by step, habit by habit, is leading you exactly where you were always meant to go. Thank you for being a part of Stoic Journal 365 Days, where ancient wisdom meets real-world action. And if you're ready to keep building that unshakable foundation, there's another video waiting for you right here. See you in the next one.